Hi, my name is Cindy Henderson. I was the Emergency Services Manager for Del Norte County, Crescent City, California, during the March 11th, 2011 tsunami earthquake. The morning of the event, I remember sitting at home watching it unfold on the TV. I knew, watching the devastation that was happening, that we were going to get something here in Crescent City. I had multiple phone calls from the fire chief at the time, the sheriff at the time, you know, watching it also, knowing that we were going to have to activate and that we had the possibility of this thing coming across the ocean. We activated the EOC. We responded down to the EOC. At the time, we had worked really, really closely and still do with NOAA Weather in Eureka, California, and also Redwood Coast Tsunami Work Group. Lori Dangler, our geologist, she's our expert that we always have a go-to. We immediately had them on the phone along with the tsunami warning center and telling us to stand by. They were still evaluating. Based on what they could see. We were preparing to evacuate our community. We have anywhere up to 8,000 people in Crescent City in the tsunami zone. We had Lori Dangler on the telephone and Troy Nicolini, and at one point we thought we were going to lose our phone service. So Troy, who was smart enough to tell us to don't hang up, just keep us on the line, Cindy, so that we would have constant communication. And so we did that, which was really smart because we did have communication the entire tsunami. Lori Dangler had told us, or was telling us, that we had the potential of, depending on low tide, high tide, of having a 1964 event to our community. Crescent City had a devastating tsunami back in 1964 from the last Alaskan earthquake, and we lost many lives during that. So that has been our goal, is to prepare for such an event for years, as long as I can remember. We had been practicing evacuation just exactly almost to the date a year ago. We had done the first ever Del Norte County full county evacuation drill. We had hundreds and hundreds of people walk out of the tsunami zone, which was a really good practice. So we had decided to work together with the other county of Humboldt County, and we would sound the sirens at exactly the same time. Prior to doing that, we had been working with the harbor and working with the fishermen, because we are a large fishing community. We had large amounts of big crab boats and small boats, and we had been working with them to decide how long it would take them to get out to a certain distance out in the ocean where they would be safe. So we had told them that they would be the first people notified. So we did. We started with the harbor master and the commissioners, and we started the phone line, and we started doing a call down, trying to get as many of those boat owners notified so that they could get out to sea or tie up their boats and be ready for a tsunami. During that time, we were given a timeline of approximately 7:30 in the morning when we were going to get our first hit, knowing that the first tsunami wave or surge is never the largest. We didn't really know how bad it was going to affect us with the lower high tide. A lot of the boat owners got their boats out. They really did, but there were quite a few that were derelict or didn't have enough crew to take anybody out, or that didn't live in our community and couldn't get there in time to take their boats out. We had sounded the sirens, and our local sheriff's department and police department and our volunteer fire departments went to the task of evacuating our community. We started evacuating. It took about 30 to 35 minutes to evacuate the community. One of the fire departments stated that they thought it went great. They used every imaginable tool they could, from blowhorns to speakers on their fire trucks to the sirens, whatever we could to get the people notified. And he made the reply that it felt like just like another drill, Cindy. It felt like a drill. Everybody did an amazing job, and I was quite proud of our community. We continued to watch the devastation, the horror of what was happening in Japan. When it finally did hit in Crescent City, the first one, I don't remember being so bad, but the second one really destroyed our harbor, millions of dollars worth of damage. The boats were circling and ramming each other like battering rams, and just devastation. One of the deputies, I remember saying that in one of the, where the water gets sucked out of the harbor and then pushed back in, one of those surges, there was ducks actually walking on the ground of the harbor, inside the harbor, which is just crazy to think about. After it hit, Actually, really before it hit, it was a very public event. So we had a lot of press. So we had CNN, Fox News. We had a lot of people calling, telling us that we had deaths in our community and how is it going. And, you know, we really hadn't at that point. We were still in the middle of surging or even prior to the surging. We did ultimately have one death, which was devastating for our community. We had an individual that went down and was taking a picture of the tsunami and ultimately got swept away to his death. Huge loss for our community and something I'll never forget. You strive to take care of the people that you work with. Watching the Japan tsunami and earthquake was devastating to us. As a community, we wanted to strive to see what we could do better. And so after about a year, we had the tsunami boat from Japan that washed up on our shore, and we had those children that got it back together. Bill Stevens, one of the commanders of the sheriff's department, worked and with Lori Dengler to identify it and find out where it came from. We ultimately sent some children over there as a delegation to go over and talk about the boat. I wanted to go. I wanted to see the devastation in my own eyes so that I could learn to see what we can bring back to our community so that we can continue to prepare for this devastation that you know is always sitting on the horizon. So I went over and shocking, absolutely shocking, the devastation. I feel so bad for the people that lost their lives there and families that lost their loved ones. All we can do is strive to be better. All we can do is practice, 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 and not put our heads in the sand. We just need to be prepared. So anything you can do to get better and better prepared is super important at this time. We need to always remember that. I feel so sorry for the people that lost their lives with their families in the March 11, 2011. I absolutely feel terrible for the person that lost their life in Crescent City. I feel terrible for the boat owners that lost their livelihood. Together, I think as a community, we can learn from this, become stronger and stronger. Thank you very much.